I'd like to introduce Ms. Latty.
So I'm going to read a section for you this evening from my manuscript in progress entitled Mirror Box. It is about my adoption and specifically tends to the relationship between myself and my biological mother, who I found when I was in my early 20s. I imagine it like this: a boy, a girl, a mother, a father, a problem to be solved. Friday morning, but still Thursday night, a school night. November 3rd, 1978, Detroit, Michigan. I tear her screaming, bloody vagina open, shredding any decency she ever had. The room is cold and silent. I land. She opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. I scream for her, not knowing what's coming. The boy who did this to her, commandeering manhood for a moment, clutches me with a future memory of loss. They take me away. The birthplace, but before that, the uncomplicated life, and the months we had together. You talked to me, told me stories. You ignored me, wore baggy clothes to school. Were you ever happy with me? When you dreamed of our life together, were you happy? This is only my dream. You are 17, we are growing. Together we go to band practice every day. You play the sax and I can feel its vibrations, its cool tone resting there on your belly. A womb, a house, or a home, depending on how much light is filtered through, or how long you are allowed to stay. You cry a lot when we are alone together. We are thirsty, dehydrated, and deserted land wanting. We want to stay together, but we're not allowed. Your father, my grandfather, has decided this is not our body. This is not your body. This is not even a body. So instead, you will get to keep the memory of me and the shame of a body. You will bury them somewhere deep and dark, your cervix, the recesses of your mind, or a shoebox out in the backyard by the banks of a great river, a river that divides nations and could carry you away. The first time I visited your parents' house, your father couldn't look at me. He shook my hand like a business associate, but then changed his mind and hugged me, an awkward teenager, unsure of his own body or mind. He had shame in his eyes. I didn't know his secret then. I didn't know he was the one who made you give me away, and that his family never forgave him after I was gone. Grandfather, how can I write this in a way that's not sentimental? How about, you're a piece of shit? How about, you made a girl into a monster, a hateful woman body with a scarred and hollow womb where there used to be anticipation and mystery, a fairy tale. Once upon a time, long before time ever began, there was a girl. The first time I visited your parents' house, your father took me out behind the house. He walked me down a small hill to the banks of the Detroit River, an arm around my shoulder. I felt like a son. There we staged a dress rehearsal for the real thing. Grandfather and grandchild share a moment, a history passed down through generations that will make future generations and continue the passing. He told me how this river was a great and powerful river. This river I'd known my whole life. This river that separated us from another country that didn't ever feel like another country, but just a place to go on the weekends. This river whose arms and legs reached for miles and miles and ran from this very house I began in, all the way past the very house I actually grew up in. How before it had grown toxic from the oil and smoke and blood that poured out of the factories that built this city and then destroyed it. Before it became a river that killed men who accidentally fell in and swallowed a mouthful or maybe just touched their lips to it. Before I learned to fish toxic fish from it, and even before I snuck out my window late into the night to meet boys where wooden bridges crossed its surging, putrid tributaries and held us while we dangled feet and smoked cigarettes and touched limbs. Before this, it had always been a great river. Its name means the river of the strait, my new grandfather told me, because it connects these great bodies of water, and it has carried settlers and fur traders and car bodies and rum runners and drug smugglers and immigrants for centuries through this stolen land, this ravaged land that now we live on here next to this yacht club. Your father told me all this, and I felt like a boy child as the riverbank mushed beneath our boots. Then we went inside, and when we couldn't find you, I became your daughter again, searching a legacy I can never escape.